What's going on YouTube? So the Infiniti QX60 has long served as one of the brand's best-selling and most important models.
And with it being refreshed for 2026, we were eager to live with it for 7 days, especially in this new sport trim level.
So after the updates, is this the slam dunk 3-row luxury SUV that Infiniti needs? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's start out under the hood. So the QX60 comes with just one engine option. It's a 2-liter turbocharged variable compression turbo 4-cylinder. It produces 268 horsepower. It's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and the combined fuel economy with all-wheel drive is 24 mpg.
Now, the base price of the QX60 is $51,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, this, of course, is a real-world review, so we have quite a lot of impressions to share with you, as well as things like our real-world fuel economy after driving it this week. At the end, we'll also tell you if we like it better, the same, or worse after living with it.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood, because Infiniti made some updates to the exterior design, especially with this sport trim level. Now, as far as the exterior refresh is concerned, the styling changes can best be seen up here in the front. So what Infiniti did was basically kind of massage the overall front, especially the grille, to give it that QX80 appearance, because of course that's an all-new model for them, has that bold new fascia, and you get a little bit of those elements now here on the smaller QX60. Now, also, we have a new trim level for 2026. This is the Sport trim. It replaces the Sensory, and this model is going to have some additional special touches. So we got the smoked chrome around the grille. We also have this very prominent lower body kit, which sticks out quite a bit. This got mixed feelings this week because it is quite a lot for a luxury SUV. Nevertheless, some people may like that, and you can still get the autograph, and that's going to have the most luxurious appearance. The logo is a new 3D logo, which is illuminated. Looks pretty nice at night. And as far as our headlights are concerned, they've got an updated design also to match the QX80. Full LED headlights are standard equipment. You can get adaptive headlights on the autograph. And as far as our impressions of these, they are about average. And then as we take a look at the back, they also made some adjustments here as well, though not as many as in the front.
Yeah, can you spot the big change? Well, for 2026, they haven't done a ton, but the Infiniti logo has been fully removed here in the back, and now it's actually spelled out across the back. And speaking of logos and emblems, if you get the new autograph, you'll have an emblem here in the rear panel as well. We additionally have QX60S branding. And let's talk about our taillights. So our taillights are going to be a full LED unit, as you would expect out of a luxury vehicle. We have an LED brake light, LED reverse light, and LED turn signal indicator. As we drop down, all of this is going to be finished in a matte black plastic, and your tow rating is 6,000 pounds.
Now, moving on to the wheels, one of the big improvements Infiniti made was making 20-inch alloys standard equipment on all models, even the base trim. Again, we have the new Sport, so this has an exclusive design. It's like 95% gloss black, but it has these little silver accents painted on the outside edges. Again, mixed reviews with the front end design, but you can always pick the autograph if you want something a little bit more conventional. And then as we move up here to our mirrors, we've got a gloss black finish up here, standard blind spot monitoring and heating, and power folding with auto dimming on your upper end examples.
Now at this side, we have an overall vehicle length of 198.1 inches, which is almost identical to the Acura MDX. And as far as design touches, we have the smoked out window surrounds. And then we also have the blacked out roof here on the Sport model. You can get it on the Sport or the autograph versions of the QX60. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, you're going to get most of those active safety features as standard equipment on this model. As long as you choose anything but the base model, you'll have things like adaptive cruise control, and also new for 2026 is you'll have available ProPilot 2.1. Additionally, there are 3 new exterior colors, including a new emerald green for 2026, if that interests you. But we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the interior as well. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now let's move to the interior. First, here's our key fob. It's the latest Infiniti key fob. So you have your buttons up here in the front. Remote start comes on all but the base trim, and then you have standard smart entry. Getting inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. And then we can take a look inside at the interior. So there's also been some updates to the cabin versus the 2025 model. And one of the most obvious updates is what you're looking at right now. So this is the exclusive blue interior. It's actually the only way that you can get the sport trim. So hopefully you like the blue. It has some black accents throughout on the outside edges there and some perforation in the middle. You can get semi-aniline leather on the autograph, and you get some more conventional colors, of course, including a rich brown. The seats themselves have several ways of adjustment. 12 ways to be exact, and 4-way lumbar support. You can get massage as well on just the autograph trim, and then you have memory seats up there on the top. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now as I hop in and shut up the door, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. So over here on the door trim, you're going to find matching blue leatherette with stitching details. You have more of that through here and at the top as well. We have an open pore wood, which you'll see all throughout the door trim, as well as passing all across the upper part of the dash, which looks quite nice and feels nice as well. This is on the sport trim and above. More of the blue leatherette through here, a little bit of piano black detailing, and then leatherette down here on your lower panels. Everything does fit together nice and solidly as well. And let's fire it up with the standard push button start. Now let's jump right in to the gauge cluster here. So now we have a standard digital cluster on every single trim. This is 12.3 inches, and it does have some reconfigurable elements. You can see that we now have the map view in the middle, and then you can click that button right there and kind of minimize your gauges and keep that center section for all of your different information. A head-up display is on the loaded model only. We have rain sensing wipers, and as we pull back to the steering wheel, we have the flat bottom design here on the Sport with the leatherette wrapping. It is power tilt and telescoping, and that's on all but the base trim. Now, let's turn over here next and take a look at interior storage. So when I pop this open here, you'll see that we've got quite a bit of storage inside. Nice felt lining as well, with a little bit of weird indentions over here. But we also have 2 cup holders there, a wireless phone charging pad, which is now standard on every single version. And then, this is the real highlight here, you've got this giant center pass-through, so it's really a ton of storage. They've certainly packaged this vehicle very well, and that's really because you've got an electronic shifter here, so it's nice and compact. You just pull down for drive, you can bump back again to go into a manual shifting mode, and you have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then shifting up into reverse, most of your models get a 360-degree around view camera system. And as you can see, it has moving object detection for vehicles driving by as well as active trajectory. Just be aware the resolution here is not super sharp and definitely seems like a step down from the QX80. And just press that P there for park. And you also have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. Now you have a little knob here which can control your infotainment system if you don't want to touch it, and we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But let's first stop at this panel. This is our kind of dual physical and touch capacitive panel. So the main things that you want to use, like your climate adjustment, you have a nice knob there. However, some of the other stuff you can just engage with this panel. It does have haptic feedback as well, so it's pretty easy to use overall. Just be aware it definitely attracts dust and fingerprints for sure. This is standard 3-zone automatic climate. Heated seats are also standard equipment. Ventilated seats are on all but the base trim level. Right above that, you have your volume knob for the audio systems. So this is something that Infiniti updated for 2026. They switched out the Bose sound systems for the new Klipsch audio systems on most trim levels. We have the 16-speaker version. There's also a 20-speaker version on the Autograph, which gives you the headrest speakers. Nevertheless, let's give this one a sample. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is really quite good. It's certainly a notable improvement over the previous Bose sound systems. Really fills up the cabin nicely, and is something that we really enjoyed as one of our favorite elements with this interior this week. Now, let's take a look at another thing that was a big improvement for 2026, and that is the switch of the infotainment software. Now, the overall screen is pretty much the same as it was before. It's still 12.3 inches. So they didn't go to the QX80 system. So a little disappointed by that since they didn't go to the dual 14-inch display with the latest and greatest. Nevertheless, this does now give you Google Apps built into the system itself. Performance is decent, although there is some lag every now and then. You have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay now, and like I was saying, with the Google Apps built in, you have natively inside of the system now things like Google Maps. Up top, we have an auto dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. And then you can press the little button right there to slide back the sunshade for the panoramic sunroof. As you can see, this is a traditional style sunroof, which is something kind of becoming more and more uncommon as the years tick by, because you have a regular sunshade and the front panel still opens up.
And of course, we need to talk about the rear seat area of the QX60. First, let's talk about space figures. So what we're sitting at is about 37 inches of legroom and about 37 inches of headroom. Those are pretty good figures. It's very similar to something like the Acura MDX and will certainly be enough for the average family. Now, of course, we brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason we do that is so we can get a realistic knee room figure for you. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". I'm 5'9". And look at that. We're sitting at about 9.5 inches of knee room. That is really fantastic. Also, my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats. And these seats, by the way, do slide forward and back a pretty good distance, as well as recline a very good distance for additional comfort. Now, you may notice that we have bench seating. That is going to be... Now, you may notice that we have captain's chairs here on the Sport model. That's going to be included on Sport trims and above. Standard is bench seating on this model. It's kind of a, stadium-style seating, so you feel like you're sitting up nice and high, and then you have these armrests that will additionally fold down. Here in the center, I like the fact that we have a removable center console, so we can have, 2 cup holders right here, another little storage area, or you can just fully remove this if you need to access the third row nice and easily. As far as other features, we have our own climate controls here in the rear. Heated back seats are included on all but the very base model. Ventilated back seats are not offered. And then down below, we have 2 USB-C ports. Over on the door trim, we're going to have a nicely done one. So it's leather really from top to bottom. We additionally have the rear window sunshade, nice wood trim through there as well. And then there's a ton of door storage down below. And let's check out the third row as well. In order to get back here, it is quite simple. So you just press that button right there. The seat's going to kind of tilt up and kind of flop out of the way. I do really like this because the seat back does not remove, so you don't have to remove a child seat. And then let's sit back here in the third row and see how comfortable I am. Now, what we're sitting at is about 8 inches of legroom and about 35 inches of headroom. Those are going to be decent figures. It's very similar to something like the Acura MDX, but Lexus TX is going to far leave this vehicle behind when it comes to overall third row comfort. Now, this seat is slid all the way back in its tracks. As you can see, I don't have any additional knee room, so that's something to keep in mind. But my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats. Speaking of the seats, these are decently comfortable. There's not a ton of thigh support, and there's 2 of them here in the third row, which means overall seating capacity is either 6 or 7 passenger if you get the bench seat in the middle. As far as features, we have 2 cup holders over here on the side. We have a USB port as well. And then we do have vents coming out of the ceiling, which is an advantage over the MDX, which does not include the rear air vents. Overall, as far as how this rates on the third row rating scale, I'm going to say that this is fit for the in-laws. Walking up to the cargo area, we have a standard power tailgate on all QX60s. However, if you want the hands-free function, you do have to spring all the way up to the autograph version. And let's go ahead and discuss cargo capacity. We're sitting at a little over 14 cubic feet of space behind this third row of seats. If we fold those seats down, 42 cubic feet, and as a maximum, around 75 cubic feet. Those are going to be pretty decent figures for this segment, similar to MDX once more, but it is going to be left behind by rivals like the Lexus TX. And if you want to know where this vehicle, does strongly or how its competition does in certain areas, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we've looked at all the 3-row luxury midsize SUVs out there, ranked them in individual categories, and you can sort based on those categories that might be most important to you, things like luxury features, powertrain experience, as well as things like third row and cargo capacity. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely utilize our tool on our website. Now, as far as the third row here, it folds 60-40 split. You have to, kind of click down the headrest there. It's pretty easy to fold this third row down. Power return third row is available, but just on the autograph version. And then there are not any buttons to fold the second row from the cargo area, so I will have to go up there and do it manually. And now that those seats are folded down, as you can see, it is completely flat with the floor. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. As far as overall cargo length, we're looking at 83 inches behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. From behind the second row, with it slid all the way back, 45 inches of length. From behind the third row, you can expect about 16 inches. As far as the opening, that's coming in at 45 inches wide. Height comes in at 30 inches tall. And let's get our load-in height as well to get you every single figure you might be looking for. 32 inches is your load-in height. Up underneath of the floor, there is a little bit of additional space under here. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed Infiniti QX60. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, discussing our real-world fuel economy. But first, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, and that's 60 miles an hour with the QX60. So, like we mentioned on the outside with the spec dump, this just has one engine option that continues for 2026. I believe it was actually last year.
Yes,
they changed out the engine. Yep. For some reason, typically you change the powertrains kind of on the same time as you do the other updates, but Infiniti did the engine 1 year earlier. It's a new variable compression 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Makes 268 horsepower and 286 pound-feet of torque. So overall power, it's pretty decent. It's actually less, though, than the previous V6. And, if you've had one of these in the past, they always had a V6. And I think both of us missed it for sure a little bit this week. Definitely the refinement factor. The power is, like I said, decent, but it definitely sounds a little bit strained when you get after it.
Yeah, as far as the power figures, it's down 27 horsepower over what the previous V6 had, but like Drew said, I think the most important part to that is the refinement piece. This is a luxury vehicle, so the VC Turbo, I will say, is not the most refined and luxurious sounding engine. You really have to, press the throttle down pretty hard to get this vehicle to start accelerating, and it does sound a little coarse and unrefined. Kind of similar to the Lexus TX350, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've been comparing a lot to the MDX, and obviously if you get an MDX, you will get a 3.5 V6. I think Infiniti probably should have kept this. For whatever reason, they made this switch, and as of at least the recording of this video, the Pathfinder still has a V6. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but maybe they'll bring back the V6. And let's talk about the transmission. So in normal driving, it is relatively smooth with this 9-speed automatic. However, I will say it does have a little bit of roughness around the edges. So in certain situations, you'll feel a little bit of a jerk when you go from reverse to drive. Also, it's a bit slow when you put your foot down. So you have to wait a little while to get those downshifts, but like I said, overall, if you're driving in normal conditions, for the most part, it is relatively smooth.
Front wheel drive is standard. All wheel drive is available or standard on the sport trims and above, and we're just cruising down the highway portion here. So now it's time to discuss ride quality, which I think has been my favorite element about the drive experience for this QX60. The ride quality is really, really good on this model. As you can see, as we went over the bridge abutments there, it really does a great job of isolating out all but the largest road imperfections. These seats are incredibly comfortable. I love these seats. So really, I think for the vast majority of people, they're maybe less concerned about the sluggish transmission or the four-cylinder. If you're just concerned about the comfort of it, the QX60 certainly nails that aspect.
That was a sport mode acceleration, just to test that out. I doubt many people are going to be using that, but,
It does have the QX60S badge on the back now, so...
Yeah, that's right. So if you remember the old Red Sports, throwback.
All right, let's go back to automatic mode. We have it on fan speed 1. Let's get our sound level reading for the refreshed QX60. Very good. 53.5 decibels is what we are sitting at as our sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the other luxury 3-row midsizers. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And cheers to consistency. That is a very similar sound level reading to the previous QX60s that we've looked at. It's not quite the quietest option that you can get in this segment, but it is going to be very quiet overall. I think that's really where this vehicle excels, is in the ride quality and the luxury feel when you're just kind of taking longer road trips.
Now, as we approach our usual corner here, let's talk a little bit about dynamics. Kind of throw it around there. Not too hard, though, because this is not a very sporty SUV, that's for sure. Plenty of body roll. As Mason was talking about, the ride quality is really good. The handoff is that the body control is not going to be sporty at all. You can definitely tell there's a lot of body roll when you go around corners. Steering has decent response. It is very lightweight overall. It's certainly not a Type S MDX or anything like that, but I would say it's a little softer even than the regular MDX.
Yeah. Now, let's hit real-world fuel economy. Before we get to the real-world aspect, the EPA numbers are sitting at 24 for front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive combined. And what did we experience this week? Well, we drove this QX60 about 100 miles, and that was city driving, so we didn't really take it out on the highway much. So what number we're looking at to compare is 22 mpg, and what we are sitting at this week is 19 and a half. So that's certainly not great fuel economy. We're not hitting what the EPA number is sitting at 22 mpg. And I really think, we talked about this, I think the reason for that is that this VC turbo is, doesn't have quite enough power. So you have to constantly kind of be stepping on the throttle to keep up with the flow of traffic. And that, of course, sometimes means that you get lower fuel economy. Sometimes switching to a smaller engine doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get better fuel economy in a bigger vehicle like this. And that today is going to be our air ball, which is our least favorite thing about the QX60. After living with it this week, we have to say the four-cylinder, not our favorite, doesn't really get good fuel economy. It's also kind of loud and unrefined, especially when you compare it to the smooth engine in the MDX.
Yeah, and of course this used to have
or the Pathfinder.
Yeah, and the Pathfinder has the V6, so it doesn't have to be this way. So we have to wonder why that decision was made. Now let's talk about the Slam Dunk. So the Slam Dunk is really going to be the updates to the 2026 model. As we talked about throughout, they made some notable improvements, and chiefly among them, I think, is technology. It definitely makes this vehicle a lot easier to live with. And to wrap up the drive, do we like it the same, better, or worse after living with it for the week? Well, we're going to say worse, and that's simply because that Infiniti could have done a little bit more to this. We do appreciate the updates that they made, but they certainly could have brought over some more elements to make this more competitive.
And let's discuss pricing for the QX60. So, as I said at the very beginning, we start at $51,000 this year. This new sport trim level starts at $61,000, and the Autograph is $66,150. Now, this particular model is, a sport model. We also have optional paint, destination of $1,350. We're sitting at $65,010 for this particular model. This vehicle is also assembled in Tennessee, so it is built in the U.S. Now, if you're looking to buy an Infiniti QX60 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's discuss resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this QX60's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 41.2% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 17.1%. Now, it's worth noting those are lower than industry average resale value percentages, and it's very much in line with some of your German competition, such as Mercedes, BMW, and Audi.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a holistic picture. In this regard, Infiniti is just ever so slightly above the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have a very good one. It's a 4-year 60,000-mile basic warranty, a 6-year 70,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do additionally get complimentary maintenance for 3 years. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth 7-day real-world review of the 2026 Infiniti QX60. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support because you make this all possible. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.